When Vijay Mallya fled the country, leaving behind a debt of $1.3 billion, the country woke up to a scary reality. Our banks had loaned out nearly 10 trillion rupees to failing businesses like Kingfisher Airlines, and there was no hope of recovering any of this money. Ideally, if a business were incapable of repaying its loans, the authorities would take control and sell off the company's assets to pay back creditors. But India's framework made the process of insolvency very tedious. It spread over many legislations, and with no body in charge, navigating it could take years. Even then, creditors typically got back only a quarter of what they were owed. This long and messy system allowed big businessmen to convince creditors to extend their lines of credit. And creditors agreed, hoping to eventually recover the money instead of initiating insolvency proceedings that could tie them up for years. But these lines of credit were draining our economy. As these cases of bad debt piled up, something had to be done. This led to the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. This unified framework covered the entire process of insolvency, repealing all other legislations. Depending on who the debtor is, the adjudicating body appoints an insolvency professional to take over the management of the assets. He or she negotiates with the creditors on behalf of the debtor to either liquidate the assets or sell them to the highest bidder, and whatever a majority of creditors decides is carried out. And here's the best part. All of this has to be completed within 270 days. Now, when faced with a failing business, instead of avoiding the problem, creditors can initiate the insolvency process, knowing that it will be over within 9 months and they would have as much of their money back as possible. 12 big companies, who account for 25% of India's bad debt, are currently going through the insolvency process. And if recent cases are any indication, we could free up as much as 3/4 of the funds that were owed in the next 9 months. Since the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code makes it less risky to invest in businesses, even investors and creditors will now finance new businesses more freely, giving the entire business sector of our economy a big boost. As these debts piled up, the buck of bad loans passed from the company to the banks to the government until it stopped at the citizen, who feared their lives' savings, their rent, and their next meals. Read our article below for how this insolvency code helps the average citizen. Like and subscribe to the WTD News YouTube channel.